Good evening. All right. So my name is Dr. Leong, and I'm going to be talking about how we're going to achieve our goals of beating cancer metastasis. So to our neighbors in the United States, I say to you, the real immigration problem is cancer metastasis. Cancer metastasis is what eventually kills most of these men in prostate cancer. So you can imagine, from a very small site, this very small gland, in 10 years after they remove the prostate, you get still these amazing bone mets throughout the entire axial skeleton. So what are we going to do about it? Well, first of all, there are 3 parts of the metastatic cascade that we can antagonize. We can prevent the cells from getting into circulation. Number 2, we can prevent the cancer cells from invading into the underlying tissue, like say in the bone marrow. Or number 3, we can prevent them proliferating at these distant sites. So we use this unique animal model called the chicken embryo. We really exploit the lung, which we call the chorionic allantoic membrane. And within this beautiful membrane, we here study all 3 sites or these steps of metastasis. And so you can imagine that this is a really elegant model, it's really accessible, and we can really understand how cancer cells are interacting with blood cells as they arrive at their destination. So our laboratory is able to achieve amazing high-resolution optical microscopy to understand how exactly are these cancer cells extravasating and then proliferating to induce the patient death. So with this animal model, it's really a window into how to understand how these cancer cells operate. And so we can look at all 3 of these stages, but we're really interested in extravasation, how the cell moves at a distant site into the underlying tissue. And so one of the first things we notice is that individual cancer cells, they form these little tentacles before they actually extravasate. So we ask the question, what happens if we prevent those cells from forming those tentacles, and what are the effects on metastasis? So in these really difficult to see images, we injected these cancer cells, metastatic breast cancer cells, and they can form within 4 weeks these amazing plethora of the metastatic colonies. But when we take away their ability to form these tentacles, we have no mets forming after 4 weeks. And this was an astounding test to see if you take away their ability to extravasate, you can actually prevent metastatic burden. So what do we have right now in the clinic for individuals with end-stage prostate cancer? Not a whole lot. We know when they start to recur, when they have metastatic colonies. There isn't a whole lot we can do. But I beseech to you that with this kind of new direction of antagonizing the ability for the cells to extravasate, perhaps maybe we can offer them new drugs and then stop further formation of mets and then provide radiation to specific parts of the bones which have these mets. And maybe one day achieving cure for these end-stage patients. So one of the really cool things that we observed when these cells extravasate was that they release a lot of bits of themselves into the blood. And so the first video, again, is just a cell that's about to extravasate, and it's releasing a lot of its luggage into the blood. And the video below that is just another really real-time example of an individual cell shedding a bit of itself in the microcirculation. So a light on went in our head and said, hey, maybe we can develop blood tests that count these tumor fragments to maybe tell us when this person has a recurrence of disease or maybe when they have disease to begin with. So therein lies this analogy where there's smoke, there's fire. And so in this analogy, we say that the fire itself are these tumor cell fragments being released by the tumor. And if we can detect patients that have these tumor cell fragments, maybe they have cancer. So we've actually developed this instrumentation that allows us to look for these tumor cell fragments in patient blood. And so this is future technologies that's being used today. And we've actually conducted a small clinical trial study looking at patients, 3 different cohorts, healthy volunteers, whether men or women, and then a second cohort of men that have enlarged prostates, which are the high false positive for PSA test, and a third cohort, men with prostate cancer. And as you can see, that those men have high abundant levels of those tumor cell fragments. So we think that we have a blood test that may be superior to conventional methods of screening for prostate cancer. And we all know that there's a lot of apprehension surrounding prostate cancer screening. So we're really excited about the technology that we've learned from just watching cells in vivo or in the animal. And we think that this is a blood test that can be used in all ages of men safely to definitively tell the clinician who has cancer and who doesn't, just by looking at tumor cell fragments. So our laboratory is really split into 2 main research goals, which is number 1, if we can antagonize the ability of the cells to extravasate, maybe we can provide cure. And second, maybe we can develop better blood tests for earlier cancer detection to make it easier for clinicians to identify those that need the treatment as soon as possible. So with that, these are my friends, aka enemies of metastasis. And a lot of those people are actually in the back here, and these are the people that actually are driving the innovation. And so if I could give them another round, a warm round of applause, thank you so much.